Welcome back, guys. In this lesson, we are going to tackle the XP, the one used to increase this slider right here and detect whenever we need to level up. So let's open our Battle Pass system script. At the top here, we can notice the XP declaration. Here it is, just next to the level declaration. Then, what are we doing with it? Well, we first load our XP in the load data method. If we hold Control and click here, we load the XP. Again, everything is using player preferences here, so we can tackle this later on. You just need to know that we do load it, like we are doing for the level. Okay. Then, we've got a method to increase the XP, which is right here, add XP amount. You can call the static method for that, not the private one. You can't call the private one. If you want to increase the XP, you are simply going to call the add XP static method with your amount. So the amount you want to add. It can be 1, 2, 3, anything you want. It just needs to be an integer. Then we can jump back to our add XP method, which is right here. Perfect. And what are we doing here? We first check if the season is active. So if no season is active, we are not going to do anything. Then, if the level is greater or equals to the current season.days.count, so we've reached the max level, we should not do anything. So we simply return. Okay? And finally, we increase our actual XP. Whenever we do this, we call the XP changed callback, and we also save the XP. Really simple, collapse. Inside of this method, what are we doing? We are calculating a visual XP. We are going to tackle this in a moment, don't worry. So we get the relative XP from the current season, and we are given back a should level up boolean. If we should level up, we can call the level up method. Otherwise, we are simply going to update the slider here. Okay? So how can we know if we should level up or not? Well, if you remember well, let's open the data here. Maybe this season, for instance, we can collapse these. Okay. We can actually expand collapse just using Alt so that we only spot these two elements or these three elements. We can do that for the days, actually. Yeah, that's way better. Okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Maybe these two. Okay, nice. You can notice the required XP for each day here. So for the first day, it's going to be 0. It needs to be 0 if we want to give the first day for free to the player. Okay. Then we can set the required XP for each day. Okay. So right now I've used 15, 20. We can use 25. We can use something like 50. Maybe 100 or anything we want, 99. And this is the required XP for each level. So it means that even though this is 50, you can actually decide to make it easier for the next day, maybe 40, and even easier next, 20. That's okay. This is one way of doing it, and this is why our get relative XP method is a bit complicated. So let's have a closer look at it. Boom. At first, should level up is false, so we consider that we should not level up, okay? Then we grab all of our days and set up a sum. We then loop through all of the days and increase the sum depending on the required XP. So we start from 0, the required XP will be 0 because for the first day it's 0. And we check if the index is less than the level. If this is less than the level, we continue. So we are going to jump this logic. We are not going to execute it. Otherwise, if I is greater or equals to the level, we are not going to continue and we are going to execute this. We are going to check if the XP is greater than the sum. If that's the case, we should level up. If not, we break. And after doing this, we can calculate our relative XP. So this is the XP relative to the current level, okay? To the current required XP. I'm going to show you a small table to explain this because it might be complex to understand. Before opening the Excel sheet, I just want to tell you that it's going to be a bit brighter than Visual Studio. So protect your eyes or close them a little bit. Here it is. So let me explain quickly. We've got I, the index that is right here in this column. We've got the required XP for each level. So we can actually use the other ones, the one that we've set up here, 0, 15, 20, 25, 50. Okay. 0, oh, I got it right here. 15, 20, 25, 50, 40, 20. Okay, there you go. We also have the required sum calculated. So for the first one, it's 0 because that's the same one. For the second one, it's going to be D4. So the previous value plus the required XP for the current level or index. Okay, I'm going to open Visual Studio so that we can better spot that. Same thing for this one. The previous one plus the current required XP. And this is how we calculate the required sum, because we are not resetting our XP. If you don't want to use this method, you can reset your XP every time you level up. Okay, this is another solution. There are so many solutions actually. But yeah, imagine that our XP is 1. Okay, so the relative XP is 1. Then if we increase it to 3, 4, 5, at this point, it's still less than the XP sum, right? It's not greater or equals. So the required XP sum for level 1, if we are at level 1, is 15. If we are at level 2, it's 35. If we are at level 3, it's 60. Got it? So now let's set level 0. If we are at level 0 and the XP is 0, everything is 0. So we do start from the level 1. Remember, we give the first reward for free. So let's imagine that our XP is now 15. If that's the case, it means that we do execute this logic should level up is true. And the relative XP here is the XP, this one, minus the XP sum minus days required XP. So it's actually 15. At this point, we level up. So level is 2. And the new relative XP is recalculated and set to 0. And then we increase our XP, 16, 17, until the required sum, so 35. If that is 35, we can notice that the XP is going to be 20. And we can use this, by the way, for the slider. So 20, the required XP is 20. So level up. And we are now at 0 again. If this is something quite hard to understand, please let me know. I'm going to try and explain in other words, but just give it some time and it should be good. As I've told you, you can also use the other method. So whenever you level up inside of the level up method, boom, you can set the XP right here, XP equals 0. You decide, or you can add the difference here. Instead of setting that to 0, you can add the difference. It should be XP equals XP minus the required XP for that specific level. So current season days at level -1, because we've increased it right here. Dot required XP. Yeah, should be good if you do it like so. So this is an integer. This is an integer. Oh, this is a float. That's why it's not working. So let's cast it into an integer. This method should also work properly. I invite you to give it a shot, and if it works for you, please let me know. I'm curious to know. Maybe this is a simpler method. I hope this is clear now, and yep, in the next one, let's now tackle the slider, because the whole point of calculating this relative XP is actually to update the slider with the new minimum and maximum values. So let's learn how to do that in the next one. See you there.